Hello, time for another Man in Gray book review. Today's book is Abandoned London. Discover the Hidden Secrets of the City in Photographs by Katie Wignall, published in 2021 by Amber Books. It's 224 pages. Katie Wignall is a professional London tour guide who specializes in tours of lesser-known London sites. This book contains 150 color photographs of various abandoned structures throughout London. Since the photographs were taken, some of these structures have been demolished and some have been refurbished and repurposed. The chapters in this book are industrial, transport, public spaces, shops, pubs and restaurants, residential structures, and sports. I'll show you a few examples of the photographs in here to give you an idea what it looks like. This elaborate building here, which looks like some kind of church building, is actually a sewage pumping station from the 19th century. They built them to show off their technology back then. This really beautiful red brick facade here is actually an entrance to an abandoned subway or tube station, which has since been converted into I think a newsstand. This building here, this structure here, is what remains of a public bath that opened in 1907, early when private bathrooms in houses were still pretty rare, especially for poor people. And so this was an elaborate public bath that opened over 100 years ago. This rather spooky-looking structure is one of the many abandoned bomb shelters throughout London that were built during World War II. And finally, well, actually, I think we got a couple more. This strange-looking picture is of a housing project that was demolished in 2012, I believe, and a new housing project was built, but much more expensive rates. So the poor people who lived in this area were forced out because the new structures were too unaffordable. And that, as the author says, is one of the traits that we see in London now, is that very few people of average means can actually live in the center of the city because the housing costs are so expensive now that only really the wealthy can afford to actually live in Greater London. Poor people have been forced outwards. And finally, we have the London Pleasure Gardens. This was intended as a resort area that opened in time for the London Olympics, but it closed just 6 weeks later because of mismanagement and safety concerns. There were some issues with the construction, and it's been sitting vacant since then. And we see that with a number of cities that hosted Olympics. Some of the structures that were built during or for the Olympics never are repurposed and just remain abandoned. So if you're interested in abandoned structures like I am, for some reason I have this fascination with abandoned amusement parks and buildings like this. It's a really fascinating book, and it gives you a little insight into the history of London, the huge construction boom that occurred during the Victorian era, and then more recently as many of these buildings have been demolished and are repurposed. And the photographs, of course, are really first-rate. Some of the buildings are actually pretty sad to look at, the collapsed structures and all the graffiti on them, but it is a fascinating story. The book is Abandoned London. The author is Katie Wignall. This has been another Man in Gray book review. Thanks for watching.